Hey guys, it's your friend Behan 412, and more importantly, that guy with autism. Now tonight, all I know is that it's been a good night for me, but Valentine's Day is usually a different day. Is anyone with me now? No. Anyways, today is a YouTube day. All I know is a good night for me indeed. And it's always been my pleasure to put up some YouTube videos I've worked on, but more importantly, I'm going to talk to you about how I got on YouTube and how it all started. Well, my name is Behan. I started off I was born in Chicago as Behan in 1996 of April the 12th. More importantly, that was almost like when Super Mario Logan was born in a different year before me, but more importantly, back in Chicago, I was in a school that day when I first met my friend Corey, and I had a brother. And more importantly, my brother Kyle and I were always kids. We would always have a good time, but all I know is that at different times for me, when we were kids, we would always have fun. Like one time I've been through accidents like Logan has, or should I say Super Mario Logan has during the drawings, but I'm not going to draw any pictures, I'm just going to talk about it. But anyways, I'm not going to try to be a copycat person like how Logan did, but I'm not trying to copycat him anyways, but he drew his life out, but I'm just going to speak it out anyways. But more importantly, it's going to be a long video and a long night, I guess, so anyways, all I know is that in Chicago, my brother and I know how to have fun when we were kids, but other times when we would go like play golf or play sports, back then I was always playing t-ball at times, but I realized I was born with autism at first, but all I know is that YouTube wasn't around yet at the time when I was still a kid. But as I grew up, as the time went by for me when I was in school still, one day I was on my mom and my family and I got a new computer for Christmas. And one day I discovered YouTube. When I first saw Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock versus Homer Simpson and Krusty the Clown. Now that video was off the charts. When I saw that video, I was like, wow, that was awesome. I never got a chance to get on YouTube that day because I was a kid, but I never had a camera yet that day, so every day I went on YouTube, I was hoping maybe one day my time would come if I ever got a camera and maybe filmed. But anyways, as the years went by, I was in school, but at times I kept going from 10th grade to, I went from 9th grade to 10th when I went to high school back in Chicago. My school was called Harlem High School. I was in that school that day. It was a great place. I had great friends. One of these days, ever since then, my grades went up a bit ever since I moved on to Harlem from the school that was far away from my house, but it was never a right thing for me, but I didn't want to be far away from home, so I just had moved on to Harlem that day. So more importantly, that Harlem High School was the best place I've ever been. But before I got there, I'd been going through the same thing that Super Mario Logan has. I was bullied like him, but people made fun of me. They kept picking on me at first, and people throw nerds at my head, and then afterwards they even put They threw like a candy piece nerds at my head at first and put gum in my hair, and that boy got in trouble. But more importantly, enough about being bullied. I'm going to get to the point about how I'm in high school. I was in high school. I realized my grades were important. And as time went by when I was in school, then came the one and only Cole 412. Anyways, I'm just trying to make a point here, but all I know is that Cole 412 has been part of me since I had a huge problem ever since I was bullied. I had anger issues, but I called that anger issue Cole 412. Now, whenever I was bullied, I would switch from Cole Behan to Cole 412. I fought back like one of my favorite superstars, legend, who's now in the WWE Hall of Fame, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Ever since I was in high school, my grades were going up. The more smart enough I'd gotten, the more good I did in class, the more focused. More importantly, when my grades were going up, and I was doing great for myself. When I got my grades up in A's at times, I realized studying was very important. So anyways, I began where I started off, marking off every class, every study I had to do, every work that had to be done. Ever since I got to home high school, I was never bullied there, but I was so happy. I was happy to see my friends there and my old friend Corey, ever since we went to kindergarten together when we were kids. Now, more importantly, as the years went by for me, I began making YouTube videos, knowing I didn't sign up yet, but I was making wrestling videos of my own. The very first one I've ever done was Sandy Cheeks versus the Pink Ranger, where I was the special guest referee. But more importantly, I began, as the years went by for me, it was the year 2013. I was playing WWE 13 at the time, and I got that game for Christmas. As the years went by, as the months went by, and then Tuesday Night War was born. There was a reason why I got into wrestling. A long time ago, back when I was a kid, I remember seeing. I remember when I first saw Eddie Guerrero when he was still alive. I was just a kid back then, and all I saw was. I saw Big Show, but he pushed Eddie Guerrero and Chavo to the ground. Like I remembered it. And one day, Big Show was getting ready for his match with Orlando, and then all I know is that this guy named Jose had a delivery for Eddie, and he went to Big Show's locker room, and like I heard him say, "Senor Guerrero, oh Eddie, I got a delivery for you." When I heard him said that, he went to the Big Show's locker room, and Big Show was telling him to get out, but unfortunately, he was asking him, "Does it look like Eddie Guerrero's here?" But he says he didn't know where he was, so he said he had a delivery. But he was like, "What kind of delivery?" Is what he asked. And he opened the bag, and he realized it was full of burritos. And afterwards, he ate the burritos. He left one burrito for Eddie, and we all know what he did. He just licked the burrito, and then spit right in it, and left it as special sauce. He just told me to tell Eddie that Big Show had a special sauce. The only thing he says, like, special sauce. Okay, man. He was like, go, vámonos. Then all I know is that right as Jose was looking for Eddie, he left the locker room, and Big Show did not know the special sauce was in the burrito at first, but he was eating the burritos. But when he made his way to the ring, I saw what happened. He was His stomach was a little hard at first when he was taking on Orlando, but Orlando was trained by the one only by the Rock and by the Rock's father, not only by Rocky Johnson, that is. But what happened is Orlando had Big Show where he wanted him, but Big Show quit the match. He ran right to the locker room and he ran right to the restroom. And then afterwards, Big Show went to use the bathroom. He went. When Eddie came there, he lets him know that's what he gets. And he revealed to him that he did this, that he put the special sauce, and it's making his stomach what it's doing right now. But he was like, hey man, you said you sweat. Let me tell you, so, like, what are you going to do to wipe your... Like, I'm not going to say the word, it's a bad word, so he said the A word at first, and he said it again, but when Big Show was looking around, he realized there was no toilet paper. Then my favorite moment at first, like, I knew Eddie had the toilet paper. When Eddie Guerrero had the toilet paper, he set it down at first and let him know that he's got something for him to wipe his butt with, as I may point out. Then he kicked the door down, and then Big Show was upset that he got up, and then he fell right back to the toilet. That became my very special moment. I forgot about it at first. I was just a kid back then when I first saw it. Then afterwards, right as I knew it at first, that's when I found it on YouTube. Anyways, as the time went by, then the next year came 2014. I came out for Christmas to surprise my grandmother 2 times. It was 2013 and, of course, 2014. Ever since I began getting into wrestling, I've seen the War Zone, Raw is War, history books. I was so impressed to see all that. Then afterwards, as time went by, it was the year 2009 at first when I was still in school. My brother and I were at a pet shop looking at dogs, and we got a dog named Cusco. Now Cusco was named after the character that you might have seen in The Emperor's New Groove, or the Kronk's New Groove, or whatever that was, but you already know that for sure. But now, all I know is that when we had him, he was a puppy at first, but then he started to grow big, like he was a big dog. But when the year 2014 came around, it was time again. Afterwards, after we left Las Vegas, I was on my daily jobs. Actually, I was out every time on my bike. First, I was off when 2013 came around. I had my 3-wheel bike. When I was a kid, I never got used to a 2-wheel bike at first, but it was 3 wheels. It was like a chopper, like a 3-wheel motorcycle, and the handlebars were the same, and the mirror was like riding a chopper. As I was saying, during that time, I went out with my old friend Desiree, and afterwards, when we got back home, I was at school one day. I was about to ready to ride my bike. Next thing I know, that bike got stolen. That all I know is that my bike was stolen from someone I don't know. I didn't see it happen. The gates were open by the time I got back that night. We were like, what the? Who opened the gate and took my bike? But then as times went by, I was devastated. I was upset knowing my bike got stolen. And as the year 2014 came around, I Actually, I actually got the bike in 2014 at times during the middle of June, but more importantly, December came around. That's when I went to see my grandmother for Christmas. We surprised her 2 times, 2 years in a row. She was surprised. She had tears of joy in her eye. I was happy to see her. My mom was happy. My brother was happy. Everyone was happy that I was there. I was always glad to see her. Now, all I know is that as time went by, it was winter back in Chicago. I went out with my friend Aiden at first. We went to a game store when I found this new game. When I found WWE, Here Comes the Pain. But as time went by, I got the game. When I got back, because my dog was having a bit of problems with his back legs, my brother was there. He let him out, and my other dog Tegan was there. She was a girl. Cusco's a boy. He was there at first. He couldn't move. He couldn't get up with his back legs. He tried as hard as he can, but my brother had to get him inside. Only it was cold, and I was getting worried about him. And one day we took him to the vet, but unfortunately, the vet couldn't help him. It was a tragic day for me, not just for me, but my brother, my mom, my brother's friend. I was showing a bit of tears in my eyes. I tried not to cry, but my brother tried to cheer me up. Right after he left, after he was gone, he wouldn't come home, but he was in heaven with Eddie Guerrero. And of course, the Ultimate Warrior who passed away that year, back in the middle when WrestleMania came around. At first, I was so sad. I missed him so much. I just wish he was here right now. I was like, I never knew Logan had someone praying for him when he was suffering cancer. Not Logan, the kid that was suffering cancer, but Logan survived. But I saw what happened, and I was not happy about it. So anyways, as time went by for me, I began putting on tribute videos for my dog that day. I called it Cusco 2009-2015. The year 2015 came around. The year of graduation. I was doing good for my grades. I was going up from straight A's to being a top kid. I was the smartest kid on the planet. I was making up my own storyline ever since I saw Suicide's storyline. I'm not going to say it out loud. Anyways, I began making up my own stories at first. Well, before I even graduate, I was watching Cartoon Network, and I remember seeing Steven Universe. And I saw it, and I was like, what the? Who's Steven Universe? At first, but I didn't know who he was. But when I saw the series, he was just this little kid who had a huge sense of humor. But unfortunately, I was a huge fan of wrestling at first. As time went by, I remember hearing about a new episode by the name of Tiger Millionaire. I'm going to tell you how Tiger Millionaire got involved in Tuesday Night War, but I'm going to tell you about that right now. I saw Tiger Millionaire's episode. I was excited. I was happy. I just couldn't believe what I saw. Tiger Millionaire and Purple Puma. It reminded me of at times when Hulk Hogan was around in the business, when Ultimate Warrior was around, when they had that huge match. But this wasn't Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan. This was Tiger Millionaire and Purple Puma. But I felt like at the end of the match, I was like, as Tiger Millionaire came by, Purple Puma was charismatic and athletic, and he showed his strength to the fans. But then Tiger was feeling kind of sad after when he hit the cup off the guy's hand, and the guy was upset. And a sign that says Tiger was a jerk. As time went by, I saw the ending of the show when Pearl and Garnet got out of nowhere, and then Puma at first. I know it as Amethyst, but Tiger Millionaire was known as Steven Universe at first, which I know about. And Amethyst, as Puma was like to them, "What are you doing?" And then they were like, "What are we doing? What is this?" But I realized that they must have found it somewhere. But then Tiger realized, I thought we could use a promotion, like that kind of thing. I know it's a good idea to work on a poster kind of deal, but when I saw that, I remember my first poster I've worked on since Chicago. I was at school one day, I worked on my first poster. There were no words at first, but then I began with a project in class called making up a story, like how the three little piggies were involved, and the three little anything, but as I was saying, but in that story, those stories were made up, like any animal would be in there, but everyone in class made up their own story. But as time went by for me, I made up a story called The Three Little Sonics. Like Sonic the Hedgehog with three different Sonic the Hedgehogs, like the normal Sonic, the Super Sonic, and the third Sonic I found on Google, which I'm going to reveal right now. The third Sonic was more of a like a bikerish type, but like toughest one I've ever saw. But it was like one of the coolest things I've ever came up with. As times went by, that's when I got Sonic the Hedgehog's stuffy plush animal, a Sonic plushie. Now, all I know is that at first, when I came up with the story, the funniest ending I ever came up with was when Dr. Eggman was the villain, like the big bad wolf. He destroyed the first little Sonic's house, and then the other ones. But the other house was made out of metal. And he ran right through the elevator and landed right in a cage. And he tried to play a trick to get in, but all it said was in the end that Dr. Eggman had to be fed chili dog a day. Whew. Now that was some ending I came up with. But I had to give myself credit there for a moment. Now, more importantly, when I came up with the story, it was the best thing that I ever done. Anyways, I began making posters at first with pictures on them, like people with in it, like Chris from Sonic X, and other characters I would come up with, like Mario and Luigi. But more importantly, as time went by, I began working on a lot of times. I began making posters for the first time, but when I went to the North Suburban Library, or should I say a library at first, back in Chicago, I got my library card, and I came up with the one and only that, at first, I came up with the first ever battle poster done in Chicago. Whenever I was in class, I began focusing on drawing pictures. I was always focused on drawing pictures, but I realized my work was important before I got to a break and worked on my posters, worked on my pictures. It was the best thing I had ever done. But as time went by, what happened next is that posters have been going good, and I've been coming up with ideas like the SWAT cats, like T-Bone and Razor, that you never heard about since Boomerang. But as I was saying, the SWAT cats took on the Terminator, which has never been done yet. Since right now I plan to do, but that's going to take a lot more time knowing they're cats. But let's face it, I'll work on it as hard as I can, even if I have to make them human. Anyways, as time went by, 2015 was graduation day, and and May was coming around, and I graduated. My whole family was there. I was so thrilled to see him there. I was happy. I finally graduated when I stepped out of the Rockford Metro Center. But before I graduated, WWE Live came into Rockford when I first was seeing The Shield come in through the crowd when my mom and I were there. But I was happy to see every WWE superstar that was ever there. Like Natalya, my mom was happy to see her since Total Divas. But now, let me point out that all I know is that Seth Rollins was a good guy back then, along with Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose. Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose were always the good guys, along with Seth Rollins. I was thrilled. I put up a sign I was going to Special Olympics, showing I was born with autism. Anyways, Special Olympics was my last Special Olympics was my record breaker. I one shot put 3 times in a row back in Chicago, and I've never lost since then. But more importantly, I'm in retirement for Special Olympics because that time is over. Now, anyways, before I get to that, before I get to the rest of my graduation part, I want to explain how I also became a contest winner for the Help Stop the Bullying. But I was holding up a sign wearing a John Cena shirt that says "Rise Above Hate," and then there were the words "Help Stop the Bullying," and I won the contest. As time went by, I've won much more likes and comments on Facebook. Everyone was loving it. They were liking it. They were commenting it. I was impressed. And then my shirt came around along with my hoodie that you saw in one of my earlier videos, even my sweater. Now, as I was saying, as graduation came by, I stepped into the Rockford Metro Center that I came out of in Chicago. But I was happy. I walked down that aisle with all the other graduates, and my old friend Jeffrey Coles was there. All of my other friends, even my friend Corey. My brother was happy. Everyone in my family was happy. I was thrilled to be there. It was one of my greatest moments of my life. Now, this is the picture that I used in the storyline of the 3 Little Sonics. This isn't the Sonic I know, but more importantly, this is it was green. It was more different. Now, as I was saying, what happened in graduation was one of the best moments. And as summer came around, came my graduation party. I was defending one of my championship belts. I made a wager to my mom's friend Shane. If he wanted, he kept it, put it on his wall, he'd have his name on it. But if I wanted, I would keep it. I would retain my belt with my name on it. That's Behan 412. But as times went by, I made the logo back in 2009. But the other logo you witnessed today was the shirt that was worked on by a friend of mine back in Chicago, right when I was still in school. But it was one of my favorite shirts. Then when 2009 came around, when I remembered back when I was still in school, I was a huge fan of Michael Jackson. His death came around. I was just sad. I was disappointed to see him go. He became one of my favorite singers at first when I was listening to his #1 Thriller. Thriller became my favorite of all of them. At first I was happy, I was excited. But after his death came around, sorry for that. After his death came around, I was sad. I was working at school, and his funeral came on the TV that day. So anyways, the match came around, and I challenged Shane to the match, but he wasn't there at first. But then an MMA fighter came to my party, and he accepted the challenge. All we did was lock up. I was trying to prove my strength, but I had lost some strength. But he had me to the ground. It was round 2. I had a manager at ringside. I had him where I wanted him. I rolled up and went for a pin. 1, 2, 3. I've retained my championship that day. I was a champion in my time, in my pride. I was so happy to retain my title. But Shane was next on my list, but no offense, he didn't have what it taked when I faced him off in that match. But more importantly, he was darn too busy. Time went by. But all I know is that as time went by for me, I was ready to move on in July at Las Vegas, Nevada, where I'm living right now. At times I moved out here, I was so happy to be here with my grandmother and my family, supporting them, always being there for them and thanking them. And now I'm getting to my point how I got on YouTube. It all started when I took my trip to Arizona, and I asked my family for my cousin Dakota to help me out. You might have saw him on YouTube, along with my aunt. I signed up at first, and I got the new app on my own Verizon phone. The ones I've been using at first, and I sent a message to Brock Lesnar after when he defeated The Undertaker. I was unhappy about that before I graduated of 2015, but I was upset. Then Colt 412 was born on YouTube that day, and as I graduated, I've been trying to look to find a wrestling school I can go to that I can learn every basic and then become a professional. So one day, as time went by, I was on YouTube putting up Tuesday Night War for the first time on the line. I went to work on Tuesday Night War, and it became a very special moment in 2015. Meaning it was actually in 2014 at the time, and a year at the time came around, and my tablet was full. Actually, my phone was full. I tried to work on Tuesday Night War in 2014, but nothing didn't work at first. But as that time came around, the first episode came around in 2K15. One of my greatest moments, achievements. I just couldn't wait to get it. I always like telling my grandmother, I want it now, but she told me to wait and work for it, and I did. I got it. My mother was upset, knowing I always get it for Christmas every once a year, but as time went by, I had the game. I had some real friends at first, but in this office area, what you're looking at right here, or to say at this area right here, what you're looking at, where I'm at, all I know is that my real friends here were Tabitha and Gia, one of the office workers that used to work here, since it used to be called Alexian Black Mountain, now it's called Black Mountain. As time went by for me in 2015, I was trying to be a tough graduate, trying to find a wrestling school. But as December came around, it was Christmas, we were in Arizona to see my family. I was excited to see Dakota, Baby X, but I was happy to see them. I got a wrestling ring that night for Christmas. But as time went by, my auntie in Las Vegas by the name of Auntie Colleen, she looked up on her phone she found out this is the wrestling school that Arthur's friend wanted him to go to. When I saw it, I heard it, and I found out about it. As time went by, it was one day at first. I had my money shirt that day. I was looking good. I had my spiked hair, what you're seeing now. So anyways, I'm gonna get to the point. What happened next is, all I know is that that's when I found Future Stars of Wrestling. When I found the place, I was thrilled to recognize every superstar on the wall that held on to the tag team titles of WCW, Bill Goldberg with Chuck Norris, and every celebrity back in WCW, everything I saw on YouTube. I was thrilled, and to see Hulk Hogan, Chris Jericho, everything I recognized. When we walked in, I saw the ring. I was so happy, and I felt it was a great moment by the time I got there. That's when I first met Mike Modest. That's right, the one and only Mike Modest. I met him. He was one of the nicest guys I've ever met. But he's one of the best legends in the business. As I found out, he was in WWE back when it was called the WWE, back in WWE when it was Raw is War at first. He had hair. He was dominating the guy in his match, but he had it close. But I had to give him credit for what he did. Even when he was a former champion in Japan, I was impressed to read his background. I was happy to know about Mike Modest, that he was one of the best superstars, best legends I've ever known. And I hope he makes it into the Hall of Fame one day. But anyways, as time went by, Saturday came around, and then came my first class. That's when I first met Katie Sparrow and Leon Hayter. Leon Hayter was one of the best teachers I've ever known, and Katie Sparrow was one of the best at what she does. It's what they do. Every lesson I saw, like when you saw Colt 412's training, like Colt 412 off the ropes when he was in the ring, when I did the Nature Boy Ric Flair walk, that was a great moment. Now, anyways, as my training went by, I went to the first show to see FSW. I asked Leon. Leon asked me if I'm going to stay for the show. I told him, no, it's expensive. He said, nonsense, you're a student. Stay anytime. And I stayed. I saw the first show. I saw the show of FSW for the first time in my life. I was excited. I was in the crowd. I was in the front row. I just couldn't believe it. I was in the second row at first, actually. And I saw Katie Sparrow taking on Cat Charisma and Mike Modest doing his part. It was awesome. What should I say? Mike Modest was a bad guy, but he's also been around since the longest time I can remember. But FSW is the best place anyone could be. And the show is the greatest place on earth. Now, anyways, as time went by for me, as the year 2015 came around and I was training in FSW, it became one of the greatest moments in my life. And I began my training at first. I began working out in the gym. I was lifting weights, and now I got a little stronger. Anyways, as time went by, I kept getting bullied by other kids here at Alexia and Black Mountain at first, but they have to know they cannot pick on autism, but I was never happy what they did to me. They always pick on me, they always bullied me. I tried to report this to the office, and they were always on my side for this. But as time came around, it was the year 2016. Actually, as the months went around, the year was 2016, and this place was bought under new management by the name of Black Mountain. At first, I was recording Tuesday Night War as I planned out, And as time came around, I did my first 412 movie, The Welcome of Bowser Jr., back in 2015, right before 2016 came around. But as time went by, I was part of Oktoberfest when I was part of the show at Oktoberfest, and everyone was chanting my name, Cole 412, Cole 412, and it became my favorite moment. Every time I went to the show where I was filming, when you saw the 412 movie, Bowser Jr.'s snack, when I went to get him that Slim Jim, importantly, I went to get him it, and as time went by, more times I went to that gas station. One of the workers introduced me to a superstar who was also a WWE legend back in the WWE when John Cena was wearing his tights. A legend by the name of Rico. As time went by for me, I really wanted to meet Rico at first, and I made a poster for Paul London with a picture of him and DGDX Animation and one with me and Leon Hayter. But then Paul London wanted to meet me at first, but never got a chance to yet. Then the gas station people say Rico wanted to meet me. I was thrilled to meet two WWE legends, but unfortunately, I met one of them. As I was saying, at Oktoberfest, I was in the ring. Everyone was there. My friends, my family. What should I say? My friends were in the ring. They were always chanting Cole 412, Cole 412. Anyways, as they were chanting it, it became the greatest moment of my life. As I was part of the show, everyone in the crowd was chanting my name. It was awesome. My family was there. My grandmother, my aunt, and my cousins, Carmine and Dominic, my two cousins that you saw on Tuesday Night War. But we always had a good time. Anyways, as time went by for me, as time went by for me, that's when I met. After Saturday that day, it was Sunday, I went to get stuff for my grandfather. That's when I first met the one and only Rico. We began talking about the history and always about history books that would never be forgotten. And more importantly, it was one of the greatest moments. And I would never forget that. But right now, in this photo, that's Leon Hayter in the ring when he taught me everything. I've been doing great. Now, anyways, when I met Rico, I asked him how Billy and Chuck were doing, and he told me that he didn't know how to manage them at first, and Billy and Chuck taught him. I was really hearing about that, and afterwards, it was time for him to go. It was almost time for me to go. After I gathered everything together, I was like, "Hey Rico, before you go, can I get a picture with you?" And he said yes. And this is it. There you see me and Rico. And the guy in the hat, that's Rico. He's one of the best guys I've ever met. He's actually nice. Now, all I know, he's in retirement, and more importantly, he's also a police officer in Las Vegas. Became an actual time that, as time went by for me, like time stood still as an actual type of memory kind of thing. Two guys have been through a lot together, but two best guys that have been through a lot. As I was saying, as time went by for me, it was a new year dawned. Came 2016 when I began working on my next 412 movies. And then one day, my grandmother wanted me to get her cigarettes at first, but then I ran into Rico in his police uniform. I was happy to see him again. I always put a smile on his face. And this is him right now as a police officer here in Las Vegas. Now, anyways, sorry. All I know is that Rico is one of the best legends I've ever known. After that time he had with Hulk Hogan and Edge and Billy and Chuck, along with the other superstars like John Cena, that was awesome. And Rikishi. More importantly, I hope Rico goes into the WWE Hall of Fame, and I really hope that he makes it there. He's one of the best legends I've ever known. Now, as I was saying, that as my time went by in 2016, I always fulfilled everything I do on YouTube for every one of you on YouTube. I just want to say it's been a privilege to do what I do, and I'll always continue what I do on YouTube. I always care for you guys from the bottom of my heart, and I will do whatever it takes to make my channel the best channel in the world. So anyways, if you guys hate Heel Wife, or if you guys support Grim the most, leave me a comment and see what you think. So anyways, and that's it about my life. It has been one of my greatest moments. So anyways, sorry. So anyway guys, thanks for watching. I really hope you liked this video. I really want you guys to get to know me at my origin life, how I got started on YouTube. But be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to this video. And guys, subscribe for more. And if you want to see me face Heel Wife in a casket match to put an end to this, a sad story that Heel Wife has been doing to her husband, and I know she does not respect her. She does not. Actually, she does not respect him at all. So anyways, don't subscribe to Dollcat1, because Dollcat1 has no videos, and everyone there left comments on her channel knowing she has no videos at all. So I'm gonna get to my point. So anyway guys, thanks for watching. I sincerely hope you like this video. Be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more. And be sure to check out Tuesday Night War coming up this Tuesday. And next Tuesday is Tuesday Night War, and next Friday is Valentine's Day Mash. And I know I should have done it in Valentine's Day, but I just want to do the right thing here. So Happy Valentine's Day to you all, and I hope you all like this video. Be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe for more. And for Heel Wife, stay away from Grim. Respect your husband, and don't destroy his stuff. Then I'm afraid that casket match is going to happen sooner or later. So be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more. Have a nice day, and happy Valentine's Day.